Mr. Freddie Swain. He has been associated with India for more than a decade, and we thought that we must have the ambassador here with us to find out how he looks at India, what it was like a decade ago and what it is now today, and how our relations between the two countries are. Most of our people may not be aware of the fact that there was a Danish East India Company which had been in India for a couple of centuries. As a matter of fact, Nicobar Island and Srirangapatnam and Sirampur and a place in Tamil Nadu with an unpronounceable name and all that. And we
Trangibar in our language.
Yes,
Taramgambadi or
something like that.
Tamil.
That's in Tamil Nadu. So we're delighted to have you with us. May I now colleague Maya to explain to
For too long.
Yeah, it's going to be very short because you hardly need any introduction in India. So, so His Excellency is currently posted as the Danish ambassador to India, Bhutan, Sri Lanka, Maldives. He entered the Danish Foreign Service in 1982 and has held several important posts, including as Secretary of Embassy, Permanent Mission to the EC, Brussels, Head of Section, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Under Secretary of the Trade Council, Ambassador, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, that is Trade Policy and Globalization, Ambassador, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, EU and EPA, and Ambassador to Japan during his distinguished career. Born on July the 31st, 1957, he is
that's a secret, my friend.
Yeah, it's out now.
No, it's out now.
Graduate with a degree in history from the University of Copenhagen, and you were talking about Japan and and historical ties with India. So
that's done.
Yeah,
Perfect.
Thank you, Mayank.
Well done.
May I now invite Ambassador?
Yeah. How much time do I have?
15 minutes.
15 minutes.
Yeah.
How can
Then
you-
we'll have a Q&A.
Yeah, Q&A.
Yeah.
Yeah. You had some others, but we'll not talk about them tonight. But anyhow, may I thank all of you, and you will not believe it, but Mr. Narayan texted me yesterday and said, when can you come? I said, I can come tomorrow, meaning today. So, and in an Indian context, to respond with that speed and that kind of determination is unheard of. So a big applause to you. Big applause, come on. It's right that I've spent, I'm into my 11th year as an ambassador to India. It's my second tenure. So you can hear me? Yeah. So I've spent 11 years as an ambassador here in India. I'm also covering other countries, but let's keep. Oh, you're already leaving me? Heart attack, my friends. Anyhow, so when I came to India first time with my wife and my youngest child, we had never been to India. So we came to the posh airport, Indira Gandhi International Airport, like all other international. That after having really enjoyed the hospitality of the Indian protocol and all that, then we stepped out in the cars and we jumped into potholes. We saw Indian carers, cows, dogs, two-wheelers, three-wheelers, everything in a traditional Indian chaos. So there was a little bit of an eye-opener. And by the way, I was the first commercial kind of backgrounded ambassador of Denmark to India. My predecessors were all part of the development assistance program. But I came in with a commercial background, so I was here to tap into the fantastic benefit kind of opportunities of India at that time. So I did what ambassadors will do, and I have my very good friend Alexander from Ukraine here sitting there with Ivan. The first thing you do as an ambassador when you come somewhere is to do courtesy calls. So I did that to some of my European. Normally, you stick to your kind of region. So I met a few of my European colleagues, and they were also negative. I tell you, and they all said, "Oh, I don't know what I've done. I have been punished by my foreign minister or whatever since I'm enjoying." My time here in India, and I want to get out as soon as possible. So I stopped visiting all these ambassadors because you can't be. I mean, you can't tap into a country, a different country with different culture by being a negative of things. So I started traveling, crisscrossing India, and I've been to all states. I've been to all union territories. I have been out in the most remote areas. So what kind of India did I see at that time? When I left in 15, I was interviewed by Doordarshan, and they said, what kind of India have you experienced? I said, when me and my wife and our youngest child, we came in 2010, India was a country. After having witnessed the Republic Day parade a couple of times, based on unity and diversity, it became a nation. And when we left, I said, India is a living civilization. By definition of your cultural traditions, and I have never been to a country, a nation, or a living civilization than India, where you are maintaining, nurturing, securing your cultural practices. And you can date things thousands of years back. And when you were really well developed as a nation, I mean, my forefathers, we were hunting and half naked and trying to kill an animal for a little bit of food, and it was damn cold and so. And you had the most sophisticated AC system, natural AC systems. You had democracy and all that. So when I left India, I had seen a lot of things. I had also seen a country, a nation, or living civilization with a huge potential that was not unleashed. So I was a little bit surprised that where will this nation move? I was part of a very unfortunate group of diplomats because I was put literally into the doghouse because of a so-called Kim Davey case. You might have heard about that. And from one day to another, I could not meet anyone. I was not allowed to go anywhere and so forth. But by fortune or by luck, I was invited by a Danish company in 2011 to Gujarat. And on the 14th or 16th of May, I was sitting in Dahej district, supposedly to inaugurate a new site. And I had asked, have you invited other chief guests? And then they said, we have invited then Chief Minister Narendra Modi. I said, okay, I'd like to meet him. At that time, he was blacklisted by the Europeans and the Americans. So I got the meeting. We sat 40 minutes or 45 minutes, just the two of us discussing India and whatever relates to India. And then we agreed that we should work on the greening of India. So we agreed to organize a number of seminars, workshops. He would be there, I would be there. We'll bring in industrialists and bureaucrats from both sides, which we did. And when it became public, I was hunted, literally hunted, by journalists, by my colleagues, and so forth. And I was receiving calls from very high level telling me not to interact with the chief minister. But I said, this man is democratically elected and he is not behind bars. So it's my obligation to work with whoever is in that position. So we built up a number of of relations, and I was also instrumental in building up a platform so he could meet the other European ambassadors. And some of you might recall there was a very interesting working lunch at the then German ambassador's residence where he met the other EU ambassadors. So therefore, I have a personal relationship with India and your Prime Minister of today. When I came back in 2019, I said I would like to normalize our relations. Some initial attempts had been taken, and there was the first Indo-Nordic summit in Stockholm in 2018, if I'm not mistaken here. And that was the first interaction between Prime Minister Modi and the Danish Prime Minister. And that Danish Prime Minister happens to be our foreign minister today. So when I came back, I said, I will have full normalization. I want to have our Prime Minister visiting India. I would like to have the Indian Prime Minister visiting Denmark. I would like to have a state visit from Denmark and a state visit from India to Denmark. So in 2020, the 28th of September, we had our first summit between the Danish Prime Minister and the Indian Prime Minister. And they agreed to this Green Strategic Partnership, which is the backbone, which is the DNA of what we are doing. And then each and every year, they had a number of interactions. And our Prime Minister came on the 9th of October 2021 to India. And she was the first foreign head of government that paid a visit to India after the COVID. The last visit of a foreign dignitary before her visit was President Trump. When her visit, which was extremely successful, when that was over, the next person that came in was Putin. So we managed to squeeze in between Trump and Putin. That takes a little bit of power, and we did it. In 2022, we had the honor of hosting your Honorable Prime Minister in Denmark on the 3rd and 4th of May. 3rd for bilaterals and the 4th of May for Indo-Nordic Summit. And I'm sure we'll have another Indo-Nordic Summit next year at some point in time. Why has Denmark emerged as moving from an unfriendly country to a very friendly country? Because of the Green Strategic Partnership. And this strategic partnership is not a traditional partnership, but it's built on 5 S's. And these 5 S's were all defined by your Prime Minister. Scale of India. And it's not about how many people you are. It's not the length of your coastal line. It's about the capacity, the capabilities, leashed or unleashed, that India has. Skills of Denmark, meaning what kind of technology we have developed, what kind of traditions, practices, experiences we have developed, but within the green transition. We transfer that. We have special facilities for that. Then the 3rd S is scope. Whatever Denmark and India we do is not just for India and Denmark. It's for the rest of the world. It's a very ambitious goal, but it's something that we are really, really keen on. The 4th S is speed, because the SDGs, we had to deliver on them by 2030, and we are lacking far, far behind. The 5th S, sustainability, because this is about the green transition. It's about developing sustainable ways of living, sustainable technologies, and so forth. So we have just said we are good at this, and we would like to inspire India and to be inspired by India. And we are not pursuing the line to teach or to preach to India what to do or not to do. Basically, it's up to you. We would like to inspire you by what we have been doing, but we are not telling you to do this or not to do that. And that's very, very important. In that context, we have also secured that our companies are working with Indian counterparts. So we can really secure that whatever you need on your side, at least you can look into the Danish catalog and say, oh, I would like to look into that. And when it comes to the green transition, energy transition, and I was sitting in the Prime Minister's office when Finance Minister introduced the last budget, and green growth was mentioned. So it's not just about green technologies, it's about green growth, which is a leading kind of principle for Viksit Bharat. And we believe that India can do it and India will do it. But it's based on this Green Strategic Partnership. And if you want to dig down in it, you can go to the MEA's homepage and you can see the whole work program listing all the initiatives. So we are very proud of this, and we think that's the right way forward. And India and your Prime Minister has set extremely ambitious targets for the green transition. So that's for Denmark and India. We would like to see a strong India. You are based on democracy. You have the same attitude and same view on rule of law and all that. So we have the same values, and we believe a strong India is the way forward. We don't want a weak India. We want the strongest possible India, economically, politically, security policy wise, and so forth. And we would be a happy partner with India when it comes to all these trajectories. A few words about G20. Denmark has never ever participated in G20. We are only indirectly involved through the European Union. But we were invited by the Indian presidency to take part in the number of G20 working groups. And we decided for energy transition and sustainability. So it's the first time ever, tiny little bit Denmark, however smart, that we were invited into that structure. And when I look into the so-called Delhi Declaration, and especially the chapters on energy and climate, I see a very important footprint from our side, taking inspiration from this Green Strategic Partnership. So we are proud of that, and we would like to expand our collaboration in all kinds of fields with India, because we believe in India. We believe that 1.4 billion people have the right to develop, but you also have the right to have good friends, and we are a very good friend, and we would like to remain a good friend of India. And I've been here, as was said, I have said it myself, for 11 years, and I've seen a lot of changes. And I'm not a day trader. You know, some of you might be investors, and if you are day trading, you are going for a small gain in the morning or in the afternoon, and you might lose a little bit, but next day you will trade again. I am not, and we are not day trading diplomats, and we are not day trading with India or Denmark. We are here for the long perspective, which is enshrined in your Honorable Prime Minister's mission, Viksit Bharat. And I know you will ask a lot of questions, and you can do it as well. I was sitting on the ramparts of the Red Fort on the 15th of August, 2014. And I was watching, perhaps some of you were there, listening to the then new Prime Minister's very strong words about open defecation, sanitation, all that. And I could sense, I could feel the vibrations of the elite of India sitting there. And basically, they will have the view, I think, that this is not for us to deal with, it's for others. And therefore, we are so committed to all these missions, whether it's Swachh Bharat, Jal Jeevan Mission, Viksit Bharat, or green hydrogen. And the real secret behind our green strategic partnership is that all our interactions, all our interfaces with India are basically built on these missions that the Honorable Prime Minister will launch and has been launching each and every Independence Day. So that's what is guiding us. And we like to see the strongest India ever to be seen. We know that there's no future without India being part of the equation, whether it's economy, or it's the political aspects, security, and so forth. And with the Indo-Pacific, you see that. Therefore, we have great hopes. We have really high ambitions for you, for us, and for the world. And I would like to express the clear hope and wish that India will stand firmly on its democratic grounds, and it will be pursuing the interests defined in the Indian way. So I hope that was okay. You want more or you want this?
Thank you, Ambassador. Now the session is open to question and answers. So those of you who have any questions, kindly raise your hand. A microphone will come to you. Identify yourself and ask the question. Thank you.
Don't be shy. Yes, my friend, please stand up and introduce yourself and put your mobile on silent.
Please, hold on. Use the microphone.
Yeah,
Please.
microphone. Yeah, microphone.
My name is Piyush. So I've been a friend of Denmark for almost like 25 years. And I must tell you this, when we talk about Indo-Danish relationship, we talk about Tranquebar, we talk about the Green Strategic Partnership. What we don't talk about is how Denmark helped India in industrializing. 1914, when FLS sold the first equipment to India, which helped India to have cement. And of course, not to forget Halda Topsy. Halda Topsy, I met him 3 times in his office. And 1950, he was the one who actually got the engineering projects to India. This is something which we do not talk about, but I am a die-hard fan for Denmark, for that matter, that, I know that for industrialization, Denmark has done enough.
Fantastic. And we do even more in the years ahead, I tell you.
In fact, when you were here in 2010, my team did an interview with you. And you being an economic diplomat, as you yourself said, right? Whatever you said that time, I read it today again. It went the same way. When you spoke about the Green Strategic Partnership, the clean tech that you said that time is what we are doing now.
It shows that you were a good journalist.
Thank you so much.
No, but perhaps I would not mention it, but you talk about, you mentioned Haldor Topsoe. He was part of the Green Revolution out here. He brought the technologies to India so you could produce fertilizers. And that was a great part of the Green Revolution of India. We also were part of the White Revolution, Dr. Kurian, and we brought in fact, living cows from Denmark. They came on board a vessel and ended up in Maharashtra, and they were supposed to go through Tamil Nadu. So what happened was that these cows were put on a railway, whatever call it, on a wagon, and the veterinarians and those who were accompanying these living cows from Denmark, they didn't know what to do. So what they finally decided was they hired some cars and they drove along the railway line. And every time the train stopped, they went out looking for fodder and they gave water to these cows. And today you will still find some of the genetics from these cows in India. In India, a cow will yield around 3, 4, 5, perhaps 6 liters of milk. In Denmark, it's not unusual to have 40 liters per day. And therefore, we are now in close collaboration with India and part of the Green Strategic Partnership, we are setting up a center of excellence for dairy production in Himachal. So we'd like to transfer our skills to the Indian farmers. They deserve to have a better future, and we think we can inspire them. So that's what we are doing. Oh, yes, my friend.
2010, you had 17 Indian companies in Denmark.
Ah.
How many of them are now?
In Denmark, I think 18.
85?
Yeah, I don't know I'm only interested in the Danish companies in India. Now we are more than 200. Yeah, so that's important.
And in fact, in 2010, you also mentioned there are 156,000
Employees. Yeah, exactly.
of Danish companies.
Yeah.
I'm sure the numbers must have grown many folds by now.
Yeah, we are closer to 2 lakhs.
Oh, that's not big. It's
No.
1,62 lakhs.
But we need ease of doing business in India. If I should raise my red flag, that would be the ease of doing business. It's so complicated, and we are very strong supporters of this Make in India program. But we would like to move from Make in India to Make India great, green, and good. Yeah. Yeah, you can keep it. It's for free. Yeah. So, yes. I said we are a strong supporter of Make in India program that was launched in 14 or 15, but we would rather like to support Make India great, green, and good. 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 I mean, good in the sense that it's a very friendly India. To be good, my friends. Yes, next. Yes. You want to ask? You? Yeah, of course.
So I wanted to ask you a little about what we see happening in Israel and Gaza,
Hi.
and what is Denmark's position, and how do you see the situation on ground? How do you we've had people criticize Israel, we've had people criticizing Hamas. It's very complicated. It's very tragic. How does Denmark look at what is happening?
Thank you for the question. It's a very actual question. Denmark has decided to stop financial support to the Hamas and the West Bank and Gaza Strip. The atrocities that we have seen are really beyond imagination. So we have stopped financial aid. We have also publicly stated our support for Israel, and Denmark is and traditionally has been a very strong supporter of Israel. May I remind you that 80 years ago, Denmark was occupied by the Nazis from Germany. And in October 1943, that's 80 years it is, then we rescued almost 95% of all Jews living in Denmark. So that is being celebrated these days. So we have had a very strong relationship with India, and we condemn in the strongest possible way this terror that took place the other day. So we are very strong. And I think we are fully aligned with your Prime Minister and India. I mean, you have also been out condemning this terror. So we stand united here. Yes. Yes, my friend. Yeah. You can have this one. No.
Hi, my name is Raghav. I'm a journalist with The Print.
The
here in
Print.
Delhi.
Yeah, my
Okay.
goodness.
So just a couple of things I wanted to check. One is regarding the Green Strategic Partnership. Where does the new Wind Alliance India initiative fit in with that? And the other question I had was about immigration policy. I was just now reading about the new Danish Aliens Act that was put in place this year. Is the goal of Denmark to potentially keep expanding on that further in the coming years or not?
When it comes to immigration, Denmark has had a very, very tough policy the last 10, 15 years. And perhaps we have one of the toughest immigration policies in Europe. And there is a limit as to how many people you can accommodate. So when we saw the big influx in 2015, where you saw all these thousands of youngsters, young men mainly, walking on the expressways to get to Germany and from Denmark into Sweden. I mean, it was a kind of eye opener and wake up call. But luckily, we have had a very tough and very strong immigration policy. When it comes to and we'll continue that, no doubt about that. But on the other hand, we're also negotiating an agreement with India on mobility and migration. We have no reservations when it comes to uh, having people living from the foreign side in our country. But we would like to have people who would contribute to our society. And we have, like many other countries, we have a shortage of skilled labor force, engineers, IT programmers, of course, health sector and so forth, but also in our farming industry. So we are open, but it has to be controlled and it has to be done in such a way that it's not really changing the society totally. When it comes to wind, in the beginning of the 1970s, Denmark was 100% dependent on imported fossil fuel. Suddenly, also sadly, due to the incidents in the Middle East, suddenly our supplies were stopped overnight. Overnight. And I was a young but handsome boy at that time, and I saw with my own eyes how cars could not be used during weekends, lifts, escalators, and whatever could not be used because we had to save energy. And I myself was born on a farm, so we had tractors and all that, and of course we couldn't use it. So what happened was that we were forced to rethink, redevelop ideas, and we were not that innovative, but we were smart. So we said, okay, the wind mills that we knew from old days, why not make it into a kind of industrial product? So a visionary government, smart, innovative engineers and researchers, plus a very supportive, conducive business community, developed the wind turbines of today. And the old turbines were small and not very effective, but it gave us, or this started an industry. Today, it's a double-digit US billion-dollar industry with millions of jobs across the world. Last year, more than 55% of electricity consumed in Denmark came from wind. Wind. And Denmark has been instrumental in helping India developing your wind industry. And I was in Chennai last week for the 5th edition of the Wind Energy Conference. And I was so happy because everybody spoke about Denmark. So it was hard for me to leave because it was such an eye opener. And we are really now also through the Green Strategic Partnership, through the Center of Excellence for Offshore Wind, we are trying to inspire India to also harness power from offshore. And hopefully we'll see if the bureaucrats will move fast, your bureaucrats will move fast, that we will see the first offshore wind farm in India. So India can meet the ambitious goals laid out by your Honorable Prime Minister. Hi. And will create tons of jobs for you. Hi.
Yeah, just sorry, I have to interrupt the meeting. Just got news from Al Jazeera that some journalists covering the war in Gaza and Israel have been killed. At least two of them appear to be Indian journalists. I would like to request all of you to stand up and observe a minute silence for them.
From which media?
We'll know in a bit.
Hi.
Let us
Hi.
either then on.
The young, handsome gentleman with the blue long sleeved shirt.
You have a question? Yeah. Take the microphone.
Gentleman, he starts over there. You'll come later. Next. This young gentleman wanted to say something. Now you are younger and smart.
So, this relates to the two offshore wind projects Denmark and India are trying to work on. One is of Gujarat, the other is of Tamil Nadu. Currently, where do they stand and how big are those projects? And can you give us a few more details about them?
Hi. You have seen MNRE, the Ministry for New and Renewable Energy, coming out with a kind of tender for the lease of the seabed in Tamil Nadu. And soon we'll also see a tender for Gujarat. Where are we? I expect, and also announced by MNRE, that at the beginning of next year, a tender for the installation of offshore wind turbines will be out. So we are quite hopeful that we will see something coming out in beginning of next year. It will take a huge investment because offshore wind turbines are very costly, and to install them in not so deep water but shallow water, which you find in the Gulf of Mannar, then of course it will take a lot of investments and so forth. But I'm pretty sure that we'll see it, and we have been discussing it many times. We have tried so many different ways to get to where we would like to be. So I hope that next year, early next year, we will see the real tender, and those who will get the contracts will be announced in the first half of next year. Gujarat, there was an attempt years back. It failed really because it was too small. It was not really well thought through, and we do hope that that will be something coming up there. More interestingly is that the Tuticorin or Chidambaram port, they are looking into, as has been put out in the public, in nearshore offshore turbine park. What is nearshore? That is within 10 nautical miles from the coast, and here a state can do whatever they want without seeking kind of permits and approvals from anyone. So we are also hopeful that we'll see that coming. But it's an immense investment it will take. And luckily, there are very good Danish companies on the manufacturing side, but also on the development side. So we are hopeful that when the tenders are being announced and the winners, after having delivered their bids, that we'll find some Danish companies among that. But the big issue is that India has, for the time being, no manufacturing of offshore wind turbines. It's a very different technology compared with onshore. But onshore-wise, we're also looking into what we call repowering. And repowering is to demolish the old inefficient turbines and replace them with new ones. And if you look into Tamil Nadu, according to the numbers I have, they have more than 2,600 wind turbines onshore that are more than 25 years of age. They will have a capacity around 13 to 14 gigawatts. But by replacing them with more efficient, top modern wind turbines, then you can almost double the capacity. So that's a low hanging fruit. And we are really trying to work with the Indian side to make that important. Why is it important? Because we have the climate change, but we also have the challenge that India's energy demand is going to triple or quadruple before 2040. And you have the right to have power. And therefore, we would like to secure that whatever source of energy that India will have access to will be exploited, and that will also generate a lot of jobs. So therefore, my friends in India, keep up the speed, make decisions, so you will have one source of energy that you can't harness today. And we stand with you. Yes, young man over there.
Your Excellency, sir, international trade is very much affected due to Russia-Ukraine war, now Israel-Palestine war. So we need to boost trade competitiveness. So the India-EU trade negotiation is going on. What is the status of this, and what is Denmark's position
Hi.
in India-EU trade?
Hi.
Second is that let me know the details of green technology transfer which Denmark intends to do to help India.
Hi. Very good questions, and I didn't give you these questions beforehand, but I could have asked them myself. But thank you for that. When you are mentioning trade, you also started by mentioning Ukraine war. You also mentioned Israel and Palestine. And I can't sit here, and also seeing my friends from Ukraine, I can't sit here without condemning really the unprovoked attack by Russia on Ukraine. Denmark stands till the bitter end, whatever that is, with Ukraine. And if we allow this to continue, you will see much more interruptions in the international trade. Look into how many devastating consequences people across the world that they are witnessing, sensing, feeling day by day increased fuel prices, fertilizers, and food. The best thing is, of course, trade. But in this condition, Russia could stop the war, and that will then bring that aspect out of this instability. But that was a wrong, unprovoked attack by Russia. So Russia has really destroyed the global economy, and they have to pay a price for that. Therefore, Denmark stands firmly behind our friends in Ukraine, and we cannot allow it to continue. So hopefully it will come to an end as soon as possible. When it comes to Palestine and Israel, this kind of war will have also global impact on trade, economy, and investments. At the G20, this IMEC, the transport corridor between India, the Middle East, and Europe, was adopted, was announced. And I fear, but that's a personal view, I fear that what we are now witnessing, not only in Ukraine and Russia war, but also now with the Middle East conflict, that will bring this fantastic project at least to a kind of non-starter for the time being. Do we need that? No. Do we deserve that? No. So it's just another sign of that stupid humanity is really causing so many troubles to all of us. And those who are suffering, it might not be me, but all the poor people across the world in Africa and so forth. When it comes to free trade, I am a hardcore defender of free trade. I believe in free trade. It will serve the purpose of all of us. And I do hope that the free trade agreement, comprehensive it has to be, between EU and India, that we will see it one day. But with the speed at which these negotiations are moving, I think we're into the 7th or 8th round. I have my fear that also given the global tensions, but also the upcoming elections in India, as well as in Europe, new commission, new European Parliament, that we are running short of time here. And that will be extremely harmful to all of us. So I believe in free trade, literally. And I hope that if people are listening in Brussels, as well as here in Delhi, they will understand we need even more political push from top down instructions. Let's have this agreement in place. The sooner the better.
About the technology transfer.
The technology transfer. We have encouraged our companies to work with Indian partners to transfer technology. And we have, as an example, we have a company called Stigstal. It's owned by a very entrepreneurial engineer. And he is the holder of most of the patents related to wind industry. And he has also developed electrolyzers. And he is in close contact, he has agreements with an Indian player, Reliance. Because if you want to develop green hydrogen, you need power, but you also need electrolyzers. So that's one example. I mentioned the Center of Excellence on dairy. We are transferring technology. We are teaching, inspiring Indians. Green shipping. Next week we have the Maritime Summit in Mumbai. And there we also bring in experiences as to green fueling, propelling of vessels. A couple of weeks ago, the first of its kind container vessel propelled only by green fuel was baptized, really released, launched in Copenhagen. And I tell you, India could potentially become the world's largest producer of green methanol to be used for propelling ships. And the cleaning of the logistics sector and the shipping industry is so important. But India has a great chance, and therefore, that the summit in Mumbai next week will be so good, so excellent. So we can say a new milestone was reached in Mumbai for the green fueling and green fueled shipping industry. So 2 examples, Mr. President. Yes, well, yes, my friend, tourism and visa. You okay?
Excellency,
Yeah.
I'm asking a totally different question,
Oh,
not concerning tourism or visas.
Ah.
What we have realized, Excellency, that the greatest need for this planet is to save the planet from war.
yeah.
And it's a personal question.
Hi.
You are close to Mr. Modi, I know.
I'm
For
close to 1.4 billion Indians.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
1.4.
I would suggest that you talk to him, because he's one man Putin listens to, and he's one man both uh, Israel and the Arabs listen to. So I think he can play a very important role in bringing peace between Russia and Ukraine, and also between Palestine and Israel. So I think someone should prevail upon him. And knowing your, ability of convincing people, you can do that. That's a personal request I'm making to you, not as Danish ambassador, but one of the persons I admire as Freddie the Great.
Thank you very much, my friend. I will solemnly, I do swear that I will do whatever I can to secure that we are not having war coming back and again. It's not that easy, but I myself went to the Ukrainian embassy so many times, and you were also there, I
Yes.
recall, to show our solidarity with a democratic country that has been attacked unprovokedly. But war is not a solution. War is the evil of the devil. Evil devil. So
Ego.
we-
Ego.
human beings are full of egos and egocentric approach. But I think we can all agree here that war is not serving any purpose. Whatever the issue might be, whatever kind of ambitions you have. So, you have my personal pledge. I will do whatever I can to avoid more wars and to bring the existing wars to an end.
And we can pass a resolution,
Yeah.
Venkat,
Anyone
that
against?
the FCC hereby resolve while we
Yeah, that I will
condole
leave to others.
while we condole the death of two of our journalists.
Yeah.
We hereby resolve unanimously that let there be peace in Ukraine and in the Middle East.
I'm all for it. Let's stop it and let's call upon Russia to stop the war in Ukraine. Yeah, that's
Yes.
a good thing.
Ambassador,
Hi.
the United Nations has been hopelessly ineffective in stopping wars, be it in Ukraine or in Palestine and Israel. They have been ineffective for more than a quarter century. And one of the reasons for that is it's not a representative body anymore. It represents the power structure that existed at the end of the Second World War. And India has been saying that it needs to be updated. How can you keep a country like India with 1.42 billion people out of the United Nations Security Council? What are your views on the ineffectiveness of the United Nations as it exists today? And what do you think about India's candidature along with those of Japan and Brazil? Thank you.
Thank you. Denmark has consistently supported. Are you leaving now? That was the resolution. So even another war is erupting. So no, that's fine. Thanks for coming. No, Denmark has consistently supported the wish of India to become a member of the Security Council. We have done that for many, many years, and we stick to that. The same goes for Japan and so forth, Germany, and all these countries, and Africa, not to forget. So we hope that we, in the future, and as you rightly said, United Nations and the Security Council is reflecting an old structure, an old global world order that was defined after the Second World War. And I hope sincerely that those who can make decisions, they will be inspired by the G20 declaration. Because what happened was, we were taking the first steps, serious, substantial steps towards looking into the world order and the structures as to how the world looks today. The fact that you invited the African Union into the G20 is a sign of that. The call to reform what we call the Bretton Woods institutions, the World Bank, IMF, and all that, is a very important signal. So when you could agree here in Delhi in September on these issues, given a very turbulent geopolitical situation, it should give us some hope that despite calamities, atrocities, that this humanity will come to the conclusion that we need to have a fairer and better representation of countries like India, nations like India, Nigeria, Germany, Japan, and so forth. But it takes some brave decisions. But the G20 Daily Declaration is a source of inspiration. So hopefully we'll see that emerging sooner rather than later. But make no mistake, we support you, and we have been supporting India's membership of the Security Council for so many years. And even though I'm an old person, I can't recall when we were not supporting India. As soon as you formulated the request on your side, we have been supporting that, and we'll do it in the future.
Great.
Are you okay?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. Good.
On a lighter note, Ambassador,
Hi.
those of us who have read Shakespeare
Yeah.
and Hamlet, the
Yeah.
Prince of Denmark,
Yeah.
I'm curious to know whether what Shakespeare wrote in Hamlet has any historic background. I mean, did the Prince of Denmark, Hamlet, really exist, or it's a part of his imagination? Does does it get discussed in your country?
First and foremost, I have never met Shakespeare myself. I have not met Hamlet, but if you go to north of Copenhagen, there is a castle called Kronborg, and when you go into the castle, there's a room where there's a skull, and when the Prince of Denmark stood with the skull in his hand and said, "To be or not to be, you will find the skull there." And I tell you, and forgive me if you don't like me to say it, but when we were planning the Indo-Nordic Summit in Denmark, in fact, we thought that we could take Honorable Prime Minister of India to that particular castle, the Castle of Hamlet. And we were discussing in the kind of advanced team, could we have this Hamlet's table with a Shakespeare handwritten drama, and with the skull lying there? Could we use that? And sorry, my friends in Sweden, but Kronborg is overlooking a very small strait, which is the waterway leading into the Baltic. In good old days, and I have to say good old days, that part of Sweden belonged to Denmark. So we controlled whatever movement of vessels that went out of the Baltic or into the Baltic. And we taxed them really, really good and made a fortune out of that. So it could have been a great success if we had the Indo-Nordic Summit in the Hamlet's Castle with the skull, but also overlooking the strait and what used to be Denmark. But sadly, there was only one toilet in the yard, so and to go down of a stone staircase, we decided it was too complicated, so we had to do it in Denmark. Sorry, in Copenhagen. Yeah.
Well,
But that was a secret. Don't tell it to anyone.
yeah, we are delighted to have diplomats from Ukraine here.
Yeah, my good friend
We-
Alexander and Ivan.
Yeah. We had the Russian ambassador before the G20 summit. We'll be delighted to invite the ambassador of Ukraine to use this forum to reach out to the world.
Yeah.
May I now invite my colleague Simran to propose a vote of thanks before we present a memento to the ambassador.
Thank you.
Ambassador, thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming here today.
Hi.
So it's been a real pleasure having you here today evening. We've heard many fantastic things from you, and this event was streamed live on our Facebook and Twitter page. It will also be saved in the archives section of the FCC Facebook page. So any of you, if you want to visit the discussion again, it will be available in the archive section. And a small request, if anyone is doing a news report on this, please do mention that this interaction took place at the Foreign Correspondent Clubs of South Asia. And Ambassador, thank you very much from all of us for coming here, for being with us. And we hope you'll come again and you'll keep coming. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, ambassador.
Oh la la.
A memento, so that you remember the FCC when you drink your coffee or beer or whatever.
Is that 66?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's right. That's right.
Yeah. It's also 99. So I don't know what's coming. But I also have a small gift. Sorry, my friends. Sorry. In Denmark, we are very laid back people, and we have a special word called hygge. which means ambience, laid backness, and so forth. And this describes how you can have a fantastic life. You don't have to be concerned about anything. So I'll give it to you, Narendra.
Thank you.
And then I had prepared some questions for a quiz, but last time I was here, the quiz master could not answer all the questions. So I'll not ask you questions, only one question. When was the exact date when the first Danes came to India? Date, month, and year. Team,
1600.
wrong. You should have studied at home. You? No, wrong. Yeah, I'm talking a lot. So, Ashok, you're an expert. You don't know. 19th of November, 1620. That's the good answer. The wrong answer is that I don't know the exact timing, but it was in daytime. So next time you have a quiz master of that caliber, use it.
Oh, this one.
Yeah, then you can use that as a gift from ambassador, and also have special items, all made in India. So make in India to make India.
The audience will get it to the next.
This is a pen. It's made of recycled paper, and there are seeds on top, so you can plant it somewhere. So that's Green Strategic Partnership for the writers and the journalists. Dhanyavad. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you.
The Danes left very good impression in India. Did very good rulers.
Yes.
Not like the British.
No, we were traders, my friend. Yeah. Dhanyavad. Thank you, my friend.
You were traders always.
Yeah. Thank you. Well focused. Yeah. Thank you.